guys, good morning. So, in today's episode, I just kind of want to talk about what it's like growing up and being someone who a lot of people have a lot of expectations for, right? I think there's a reason why I don't, I mean, as I mature, as I grow, as I learn and understand, I no longer have a desire to demonize celebrities. I've never kind of been in that space, but I do think I kind of found myself in spaces with some conspiracy theorists, so I found myself debunking celebrities a lot. And I do still think that we should debunk celebrity culture as the standard of living, right? As the standard for the American dream, because I just think there's a lot of factors that go into that. And so backtracking to what I've been saying, right? Being someone who isn't I'm a gifted adult, right? I'm a gifted grown up, and growing up and not really knowing what I would do, not really knowing the one thing that I would pursue that would just, you know what I mean? Because I think one thing that's very like consistent with gifted grown-ups is that if you happen to find your gift and you work that when you're younger and it's nurtured and supported by the people around you, then it's likely that you will achieve some level of like success and status as you get older. But for a lot of people, it's not like that. And I think growing up for me, I realized a lot of people could kind of see the gift. I think a lot of people could kind of see the things that were in me that I probably couldn't see in myself. And I think some people still are like this, but it's really, really challenging when you don't necessarily have that vehicle. And let me step back, because I will say that the Lord is my vehicle. Okay. The Lord is my shepherd. Okay. But I do think that when you grow up in that and like a lot of people are telling you all these things, I think it creates this level of expectation for you that is literally out of this world. And I'm honestly saying this for anybody out there who is really struggling with contentment in your life. And it's not really a matter of social media and consumerism so much as it's my real life. Like, I don't feel like social media is the driving force for my discontent, or has been the driving force for my discontent. I think for me, it's been everybody's expectations of me. I mean, even in my friend groups, like starting, growing up, being a pretty girl, whatever, like I had girlfriends telling me like, girl, you need to get with this guy, you need to date this type of guy. And I tell the story all the time, but like, I was dating this, I wasn't dating, let me backtrack. Sometimes I get on here, y'all, I get a little nervous, working through the anxiety, working through it all, But in the 7th grade, there was this guy. He was so nice to me. He was so kind, And at this age, it's like, okay, you kind of start, you like boys, so whatever. But he was so nice to me. His locker was next to mine. And I remember telling my friends, like, I really like him. Like, he's just so nice to me. And like, he was really smart and I really liked him. And my friends like clowned me. They were like, oh my God, like, girl, you cannot date such and such. And so I was like, okay, so you need to get with this boy. And this guy was like the popular dude. Girl, he broke my heart. He was my first little heartbreak. And it was just chaos and confusion. It was drama, But when I think about the expectations that people put on you, and that's just one example of an expectation in my life. Like, I've had people tell me very amazing things, like, you're going to be a famous writer one day, and it's very it's very aspirational. I love that. I would love to be known for certain works and the things that I've written, because I love doing what I do, right? I love writing, I love teaching, But it's like when I step back, and it's not even just strangers' expectations of me. It's more so like familial expectations, right? One thing I found about certain generations of people, it's like there was a point in time where if you went to college and you like had a degree, period, like you were going to be successful. Like you were going to have a job, you were going to be set up, you were going to be doing the do. And that was actually a reality. Like that was something that could totally be made. You know what I mean? Like that would come into fruition in your life if you literally took that path and went to college. Like that was all you needed to do. And when you were in that time period, right? I have a relative who was in that time where literally if you went to college, you were going to be successful. It doesn't matter really what you study. You were going to have a job. You were going to be set up. Like everything was going to be well for you, And this person didn't take advantage of that time and the opportunity during that time, right? Because I always talk about the economy, but I always talk about like consumer trends and just like where we are today, right? Today, the opportunity right now, like we are living in a marketable economy to where it's like, if you're creative, if you're gifted, if you are someone who, pretty much it's time for the creatives and the gifted people and the visionaries to really come up, and like, this is their window of opportunity, right? So this is why I understand when people are making videos and they're like, hey, listen, you need to just start. And I truly believe this because this is the time that we're living in, right? Who knows, next year, I mean, not next year, the next 10 years from now, it's probably going to be different. But right now, this is the space, right? We had a window where it was like tech was the biggest booming thing. And right now, a lot of people are like tech layoffs and things like that. And it's because it's a shift in the economy, right? So it's like, if you kind of study marketing, you don't even have to be like an economist. Like, you don't have to be someone who's got a, you don't have to be an expert in marketing to figure out like what is the hottest thing on the market right now. Like, what is the window, And so I just say that to say like, yeah, like you got to take advantage of those windows of opportunity because that's the shift, right? Like I remember when I first wrote my book, that was when that was when KDP was popping, right? KDP was popping, like it was and Rupi Kaur was someone who, whose books got picked up and, it was all that. So it was like, there was a window of opportunity there. There was a sense of hope there. But then we had social media marketing. So it's like, you had to know how to market yourself. And I didn't know how to do that at the time, but it's like, you have to study the trends. Like what is on the market? What is popping right now? Like a college degree, people ain't really looking for that no more. People are kind of looking at that like it's giving dinosaur, it's giving practicality. We need someone who's creative. We need someone who's fresh, who's funky, who's fun. And I'm not saying you can't go to college because quite frankly, I talked about this in a video on here. Y'all can go back and listen to it if you want to. I personally truly believe that I do think it can make a difference, like having a college degree. But I think even in my collegiate journey, because it's truly been a journey, I would say that it takes time. I think it takes time because I just think that like life happens, and you're young and like the last thing you really want to do is that, so I always take that into consideration. But yeah, when I think about the expectations people have put on me, they're very high, they're very high. And it makes me question, do these people see me? And evidently not, you know what I mean? And not from a sense of like, they don't know me and like, these aren't things I can ascribe to. Because I think that even sometimes in ourselves, we can miss things in ourselves that other people can see. But I just think that when it comes to certain expectations that people put on you, a lot of times we focus on the bad expectations. And it's not necessarily a matter of like bad per se, because I would say that someone telling you you're going to be a famous writer is actually that's a pretty fabulous expectation. But it's like that then create something in you to where you start living outside of your values to kind of make this thing come true, and it just makes me think so much about OJ. Like, you guys know these videos kind of be all over the place because I be connecting the dots, but it makes me think about OJ Simpson and just how a lot of people were like, oh, you're going to be this, you're going to be that, he's the man, da 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 da. And it's like after a while, you start to feel like you have to live up to that, and this is kind of what we see when you have a lot of people who are like, oh, I want to make all this money and I want to do all these things, and they kind of start to assimilate in corporate culture and they start to adopt patriarchal behaviors and norms, and then it's like they find themselves becoming everything that they once quote unquote despised. And it's not to necessarily look at it in such a negative way, because I don't want to be like, oh, success. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that like you got to find your thing, find your thing and like discover yourself. Like, I think it's a beautiful thing to have encouraging words, beautiful things people speak to you over your life. But I do think if you put those expectations at the forefront, you're going to miss a lot of things in your life. And after a while, you're no longer going to be making your own decisions, So I just think it's like, if it's going to happen for you, it's going to happen for you. Take your time, trust that it's going to happen for you, but definitely don't find yourself out there just trying to meet everybody's expectations, because I will honestly say you're going to find yourself in some really crappy places. And like, one thing I'm learning as I'm getting older, everything doesn't really have to be like sob story, Jurassic Park, chaos. Like sometimes, it's okay to just kind of live life, and we don't really have to do the little T traumas along the way. Sometimes we can avoid situations by just like, chilling out, doing us, and trusting and believing in the process.